You can resume. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, madam. You can continue.
Okay, thank you, sir. I'll just share my screen again, okay? Um, Please let me know if it is visible. Uh, you can see the screen, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. And is there anyone other than me host as well? Because I see some participants joining, or you want me to enter them simultaneously? I mean, please let me know. uh, okay, yeah, okay. So, since we were talking about big data, right, suddenly what has happened, why has it become so important for us to learn about big data, and what is its impact on healthcare informatics and how it is revolutionizing the world? Okay, let's understand this. So let's start with the definition of what is big data. When we talk about big data, it refers to extremely large and complex data sets. They are difficult to process and analyze. I'll tell you why. And since I have worked in my industrial experience, I had the opportunity to work on some of the big data sets. Maybe I can share with you some of the practical opportunities and difficulties that I faced with big data. Okay, the nearest big data that I worked was the claims databases, the US databases where we have electronic medical records, electronic health records, right? They are called as the big data sets. Now, what is the problem with these data sets? Very basic problem can also occur. Like, for example, maybe the data entry is not correct. Then there is duplication of the data. Okay, and then when we work with countries like, let's say, US, UK, there are certain regulatory implications that the data cannot be exported directly to other countries. Okay, because of their HIPAA and GDPR compliances, it is not allowed to have the data from US directly to any other country. So for example, let's say sitting in India, if I want to do certain analysis on these big data sets, right, it will not be possible. The data needs to be anonymized. Of course, individual patient data with patient details cannot come. Second is, aggregate data can come, but individual data is hard to get. Now, what is the difference between individual data and the aggregate data? So the individual data means data for each and every patient. Let's say Richa Goyal, female, date of birth, age, and my data. Now what is the aggregate data? Aggregate data is the data on which the statistical analysis has been done. That forms the part of the aggregate data, and it is anonymized, which means it will not have any of my personal details, right? That kind of data is still allowed to be transferred. So these are some of the practical challenges and difficulties that we have, but of course there are a lot of advantages when we study these big data, and I will come on to them in our consequent slides. Okay, so it is often characterized by 5 V's: volume, which means it is very large in volume; velocity, it is the speed at which it is processed. I was at one artificial intelligence conference yesterday, and since I'm an entrepreneur, for me, upskilling my skill set is very important. So, and Singapore gives me these opportunities to attend these conferences. In fact, after our session, also, I have one to attend today. What I'm trying to say is, with the way the advancements in AI and the tools are coming up, they are taking place, it's very, very important to follow them. So that's the speed with which the data is changing. Variety, it comes in different formats, different types, and that is another challenge, because sometimes it becomes very difficult to collate the data in one place, because at various country level, hospital level, institute level, the format in which it is collected is different. Veracity and which means accuracy and reliability of the data, it forms a big question mark. Okay, so that is why whenever we do any project on big data or AI, we always have a human in the loop. So I'll tell you one incident from yesterday's conference. It was on agentic AI. So the presenter was giving certain commands in Python, and he deliberately purposefully gave wrong commands, and it gave zero result, zero data was obtained. But now tell me, if he presents that data to any client or somebody, who is to be blamed? You cannot punish agentic AI, right? Okay, the blame will come to the person who did the wrong command. So it is always best to have a human in the loop to do the QC, right? Then value, what are the potential insights and benefits that we are getting from the data? With this, let us also quickly look at the definition of healthcare informatics. So healthcare informatics comprises of different terminologies. It's an amalgamation of information from various sources. Let's say information technology, the technological infrastructure supporting data management and analysis, right? Data science, the scientific methods used to extract insights from the healthcare data. Analytics, the tools and techniques that are used for analysis. And delivery, the processes and systems that ensure efficient and effective patient care. I'll give you a very good example of healthcare informatics I came across in, again, one of the recent AI conferences I attended. Okay, so uh, we all know the drug development life cycle. When the potential molecule is in the R&D stage, that's the research and development stage, it takes lot of years, let's say 10 to 12 years, or at least 7 years, 10 years, to formalize that blockbuster molecule, right? And it takes immense amount of money, manpower and time. Correct. So there is a tool which has been developed by Singapore government in collaboration with Nanyang University, NVIDIA. I'm sure you all know who NVIDIA is, and of course Hewlett Packard Enterprise and one another company. The tool that they have already developed, the proof of concept is already there. Now they are scaling it up at the large stage. What they're trying to do, within 5 to 10 minutes, the tool will do all the analysis, all the schematic modeling for you, and it will tell you which is the potential molecule that the company should work on. It saves so many years of effort, and it saves millions of dollars, which can be utilized in a better way for healthcare system. Now, how, what healthcare informatics plays into this? Nanyang University, the scientists are working on the molecule. NVIDIA, it provided the framework, the AI tools. Okay, what did Hewlett Packard did? It provided the laptops and the system, okay, to do the thing. And what the other company did, it provided the intellectual property rights. Okay, so this is the best example of healthcare informatics that I can give, which means it's the amalgamation of coming together of information technology, data science, analysis, and then it is delivered in the right format in a quick time. So now this is being done with the big data in combination with the health informatics. Sorry. Now, why it matters in 2025? So we see the evolution, and it's a frog life cycle, as you can see, just to illustrate an example. So traditional healthcare, we had limited data and analysis. Okay, with AI integration, what happened was sophisticated analysis and predictive modeling came into picture. By predictive modeling, nowadays, as you see, that there are various tools which can catch breast cancer at early stages so that it can be cured. Then digital health expansion, remote monitoring, patient engagement opportunities came into picture. And this is an evident example that we saw at the COVID time, right? When remote monitoring of patients and remote supervision by doctors came into picture. Regulatory interest, responsible and ethical use of big data, very very important. So whenever see, I am a professional, right? I have my own company which works on big data, AI and health economics, right? Whenever I use any kind of big data or any AI, I always give a disclaimer that I have used AI for this, right? Although the QC has been done. So which means responsible and ethical use of the data only for the benefit of the healthcare system. Revolutionize healthcare. What forms into this? Personalized, data driven, and efficient care. This forms the new healthcare system. Now, let's look at big data in healthcare. What are the data sources? The kind of this one, the smartwatches that we wear, although I'm still a traditional person, I like the normal watch. It also forms the part of the data collection. I have recently received one project. It's on anemia. Okay. And I have to collect the data from all the social media platforms. This includes Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So we have to run queries and we have to collect certain data, right, from these kinds of platform. So this also forms a part of the big data, and it's a the social media accounts are the sources of those. So electronic health records, the digital records, as we discussed about the claims databases, genomics and omics data, there are many databases and registries available which store the genetic information, and it is for millions and millions of patients. In one of my projects for pan liver, hepatitis B, C, and D, a client asked me to suggest certain registries and claims databases that they want to have the access for the data. That time I got the opportunity to deep dive into a lot of genomics databases and registries, and believe me, it has data for millions and millions of samples, I would say. Patient reported outcomes. Patient is the king, patient is the queen. Data directly coming from patients about their health status. These, I would say, the community groups, okay, NGOs, they help a lot in collection of such kind of data. Then we have wearables and Internet of Thing devices. These are sensors. As I said, sleep device, stress device, and these smartwatches, they are smart. If the body has humongous level of stress, they start beeping. They start showing red. Then claims and billing data from healthcare services, insurance data. Social determinants of health, SDOH, as it is called, data on social, economic, and environmental factors. Right. With this, I would like to. So, I attended the HTA Health Technology Assessment conference in Singapore 3 weeks back. What happened was, in case we are familiar with terminologies like cost effectiveness, now for HTA submission and approval, new thing has come, which is called as cost equity analysis. Forms social determinants of health depending on the socioeconomic statuses of the patients, the demographics. Now HTA bodies are looking into that kind of data, but of course everything comes with a challenge. But we have to overcome them. Data heterogeneity, fragmented, inconsistent, missing data, duplicate data. Then privacy compliance, as I was talking, HIPAA and GDPR compliances, many of the times one data cannot travel to the other. So a very interesting fact, one of my colleagues told me, like, if you have any claims data open in US and if you are traveling to Canada, let's say if you are in aeroplane and you're trying, as soon as you enter the Canadian airspace, the data shuts down automatically. Okay. Then data quality, ensuring accuracy and reliability of the data, which means human in the loop, QC. Let me enter these people. Now, what are the analytical approaches for healthcare data? So these are various kind of analytical models that can be done on healthcare data. Descriptive, very simple, summarizing the historical data and understanding the data trends. Dashboards, reportings, mean, median, mode, simple descriptive stats you have to do. Then we have predictive stats, which means it comes to forecasting models. Okay, using some of the statistical model machine learning tools, for example, how to measure the risk stratification, disease progression models are there, and as a part of health economics, we do these kinds of prediction models. Okay, pres- sorry, prescriptive analytics recommends specific actions or achieve desired outcomes. Treatment optimization, are the resources allocated in a correct way? Then of course AI and ML integration, automating the task using deep learning, NLP, AI. And nowadays we all know there are large language models. As a professional, if you ask me, Richa, do you use large language models? Yes, I use ChatGPT and Gemini. They gave me a quick head start for a lot of problems. But of course, I cannot present the data as it is to the client that I have received from ChatGPT or Gemini. I do a QC, a thorough QC, before sending it across. Now, what are the applications of healthcare informatics? Let's look at their applications as well. So improved healthcare outcomes, it helps in patient engagement. There are mobile health apps and personalized education, which is called as digital health these days. In our country, when I say our country, of course India, nowadays a lot of healthcare apps have come into picture. Okay, especially for menopause, for anemia, for osteoporosis. And these help are directly on, almost everyone has a smartphone these days. Almost everyone has a smartphone these days. And it's very, very easy to engage patients on these kinds of things. I'll give you two examples of digital apps, how they are being used with AI. Okay, so a company called Denon, it has come up with an app which measures the height and weight of the baby using AI. Okay, we all know, if you know, when there's an infant, to measure the height of the baby, generally it is placed on that kind of a board where the nurse holds the legs and the parents hold the head of the baby, and it is very cumbersome because baby cries, screams. Since I have a 2-year old, I have gone through this recently, so I know how much the baby cries and what a fuss it is, right? So how it works is, uh, take the picture of the baby, upload it on the map, on the app, and it gives an idea about what is the height of the baby, what is the weight of the baby. It does not replace. So my question was, I asked the founders that, does it replace me going to the hospitals and healthcare facilities? They say no, it does not replace that. But if there is anything alarming with the growth of the baby, okay, it does give an indicator, right? That is how patients are engaged. Another example that I can give you is for measuring the neonatal jaundice when newborns are there. So majority of them have jaundice, right? My kids also had the same. Okay, so now the apps have come. When you take the picture of the forehead or the back or the stomach, it gives you the bilirubin levels. Okay, right. With that, you have an idea if it is not progressing, if it is regressing. So this is the patient engagement in health informatics or digital health that I can say have been happening these days. Then clinical decision support, AI driven alerts and personalized medicine. Okay, so if there are any alerts, like we were talking about early finding of the breast cancer, similarly, there are other disease as well which can be taken care of. Then population health management, identifying the risk group and tracking the disease trends. It is very important. We could not, we were not able to predict COVID. when it happened. Okay. Nowadays, because of COVID vaccination, we all know there are a lot of side effects in the environment. One of them, majorly, is increasing lipid profile. Okay, increasing sugar levels, HbA1c levels going haywire, LDL, HDL, TG, TC. It's crazy. Okay, now with these kinds of data, we can predict which groups are at risk, which are not, and we can identify the problem in a much more faster and a better way. Drug discovery development, minimizing data to mining data to accelerate drug discovery. I have given you the example of the app that I saw. HR and market access, my area, my favorite. Cost effectiveness models and real world evidence. This is the work that I do. Okay, so a lot of and I use lots and lots of data for cost effectiveness and budget impact models. The kind of data that I use, from where it comes from secondary or the primary. It's a mixture of both the primary and secondary data. And what cost effectiveness does is it helps in predicting whether a particular drug is effective both in terms of cost as well as efficacy and quality of life. And for that, I need lots and lots of data. Okay, right. So for this topic, I can go on and on because for 18 years, I've worked in this area only. But in the interest of time, let me move ahead. Let me add people. Okay, case studies, but I have more after this, right? So case studies are generally in the end, but since we are on the same topic, let me just continue on this one and then I have more to give, right? Okay, now let's look at some of the practical things where these kinds of big data and health informatics can be used. Diabetes risk with predictive modeling. Using data to predict diabetes related complications risk. Diabetes, it's not a particular disease. It comes with various complications, right? Okay, retinopathy, neuropathy, nephropathy, right? So now how big data help in this? Electronic health records, they provide patient health history. Then variable glucose sensor data, it does continuous glucose monitoring, enhances risk prediction accuracy. Risk identification identifies patients at risk of diabetes complications. So amalgamation of all these techniques. So what we have done, we have used a data source, we have used the technology, and then we did the analysis. That is what health informatics is. Personalized cancer therapy pathways. Gone are the days when one NSCLC medicine used to work on the other patient. It doesn't happen that way. Patients need personalized medication because of their comorbidities, family history, environmental factor, genetics, many other underlying factors as well. Okay, so genomic and treatment data integration. This means combining the genomic and treatment data for personalized therapy. Now, what are the steps that are involved? First is biomarker identification, identifying particular biomarker to predict the treatment success. Personalized, tailoring the treatment strategies based on individual patient profiles. And I know there are drugs, certain drugs which cause certain rashes, and in I have also encountered, I was talking to one of the oncologists, and my knowledge improved because sometimes, when certain chemotherapy or medications are given for oncology, it causes stomach ache, it causes rashes. Sometimes it is a sign that the medication is working rather than the ill effects of that medicine. Okay, so before coming to any conclusion, I think I know my friends and colleagues, they try to become doctors, and it is always advisable to consult and see the specialist. Then what it does, improves patient outcomes, enhancing outcomes through targeted treatment approaches, right? Next example, COVID-19, multifaceted impact of surveillance systems, real-time surveillance systems monitoring COVID-19 spread in real time. I know none of us want to remember the time. None of us, I mean, it's still very hard to comprehend that we were a kind of house arrest, city arrest, and we were not able to move out, right? So monitoring COVID-19 tracks and analyzes COVID-19 spread, Guiding resource allocation informs decisions on resource distribution effectively, facilitates vaccine distribution strategies and ventilator allocations also. It helps in allocation, ventilation allocation based on needs. So the case studies that I am presenting today, these are real life examples of big data and health informatics, how they are currently being used in the society. Few more. Okay. Impact of ICU predictive analytics. Okay. So, okay. ICU predictive analytics to forecast patient deterioration in ICU. Okay. Early identification of at-risk patients, proactive clinical intervention, which leads to reduced mortality rates and can help in decreasing the length of stay, and helps. And in hospitals, we always know, always it's a chaotic situation. My parents are doctors, so I have seen them struggling and helping patients all their lives. And my mother is a gynecologist, and my childhood has gone seeing her doing 10 to 15 deliveries in a single day. That time, being a child, I could not understand like why I'm standing outside OT the whole day and waiting. But now I do understand the responsibilities, and I know how chaotic their lives become when they have so many patients at length. But if with such kind of tools some things can be predicted, then why not? Okay. Then another initiative that is done by is John Hopkins Command Center, uh, center impact. So it's a centralized hub for managing hospital operations effectively. Okay. Now these kinds of things have come up in various hospitals in India as well, where do they do real-time data monitoring, how much time emergency room will take, predicting that. Okay, enhance patient experience so that the patients are at ease. Next is United Health's fraud detection strategy. Of course, there are a lot of frauds. United Health uses predictive modeling to detect fraud, especially for claims databases. This helps them in catching the fraudulent activities, as well as expediting the claims of the patients who are in need, identifying the fraud patterns, claim accuracy, reducing financial waste, ensuring healthcare system integrity, and these tools are required. So day before, I attended one of the sessions which was by the a very senior person from banking sector. Okay. What he did was he has created the app for internet banking, like we have for HDFC, ICICI Bank. So similarly in Singapore also they have for various banks, and that person created the front end and the back end. Okay. And about other tools, what that person told was, and somehow Singapore is the hub of fraudulent activities in Asia Pacific. And my personal experience, I received so many calls in a day, fraud calls, spam calls, which say we are calling from immigration, you have been asked to come to embassy. All these are fraudulent, called fraud activities. Okay. So that person told that they constantly have to upgrade the fraudulent activity trackers and the AI to safeguard the interest of their customers, because banking sector also has a lot of fraud activities, right? Similarly, big data and health informatics, AI, are very important to detect these fraud activities as well. Okay. Healthcare analytics, market trends, and adoptions. Now, where is the market moving? Metaverse impact. I have an upcoming slide on this, but what is metaverse means? Metaverse means an amalgamation of virtual reality and augmented reality. Okay. Uh, there was recently one news where it was said that in China there is one hospital where which has been replaced by bots completely. Okay. And being in Singapore, I see bots day in and day out. Every mall has. Okay. Uh, Seriously, every mall has, especially for cleaning, for delivering. kind of vending machine where you take out things from the bots and you just scan the QR and pay. Okay, and I can tell many stories. If I have time, I'll tell you so many stories about the bots that they're doing nowadays. Okay, but what metaverse means here in healthcare analytics is, for example, there is a complicated surgery. Okay, and it requires intervention of multiple specialists from across the globe. Right. So what it is done, let's say one specialist is standing in person in the room and another joins by virtual reality, like the avatar type of a system. And that doctor can assist in doing those kinds of surgeries. Okay. Right. And big data usage is highly adopted with significant market growth. Data is the oil, data is the new oil. Okay, if you are interested in, let's say, share markets or the economics, and if you're following what all different countries are doing these days, I won't name particular countries and particular presidents, but they are also data trends and analysis have become very important. So it's important in all the sectors. Establish analytic solution, how have high adoption but low growth. Then initial analytics implementation faces low adoption and growth, but it is very, very important. Very important, ethics, privacy, and regulation. Navigating ethical. I think people are dropping off again and joining. Okay. Navigating ethical and regulatory challenges in healthcare, very, very important. Be wary of data privacy and regulations, compliance with the law, HIPAA and GDPR protections. It is very, very important. Do not do any unethical things. Data governance, interoperability, establishing frameworks and standards to secure data exchange. Like, for example, I can give you my example. I own a company, so I have my own shared drives and compliances in place because I deal with the patient data. Okay. Ethical AI in healthcare, addressing biases and fairness. Okay, you need a human in the loop, because tomorrow if something goes wrong, you cannot say AI did this and punish the AI. Okay, those laws have still not come. Now, AI in healthcare, enabling smarter decisions. Right. So uh, natural language processing, machine learning, deep learning. It evolved like this. Now we have generative AI, and the next part that nowadays we have is the agentic AI. Okay, right. Everything comes at its own cost, everything has its own pros and cons. Right. Now, what does NLP does and how it is important? So, natural language processing for electronic health records, it extracts the insights from the unstructured data sources. Machine learning, it helps in risk prediction. And what does generative AI does? It summarizes clinical notes efficiently. So if you have heard about, many apps have come which take the notes of the patient and doctor conversation. So, in big hospitals, what happens is doctors treat the patients and they also start taking the note. Either they take the notes, or in many government hospital, I've seen the interns or the junior doctors taking the notes. Right, I've myself seen this at PGI Chandigarh. Right, so they take the notes, and now since databases have come, many times doctors or interns have to sit at night and they have to key in the data, which makes their days very much longer. They get tired, and a lot of time is being wasted, I would say, in taking those notes. And in that time, the doctor can see many more patients and give them advice. Okay, right. So nowadays, there are a lot of tools which have come up which use AI, right, to record these data sets and key them into these specific databases. What does it do? From inefficient clinical decisions, by implementing AI, we get improved patient outcomes, improved care, and more time towards patients. Right? Now, AI integration with big data improves health outcomes. Humans struggle to analyze vast data. AI is integrated, personalized treatments and accurate diagnosis is done. Okay, for running AI, how do we do it? That is what I saw, what I do, and what is my gathering from various conferences, generally the AI tool runs on coding. Nowadays, a lot of low code and no code devices have come. Okay. And these codes are generally written on Python. So sometimes students ask me for data science, what is the new skill they need to acquire? Python with AI, not the normal Python. Learn Python with AI if they want to make a career in data science. Okay. And for agentic AI, agent deployment kits have been developed by Google, where you choose your large language model and you key in what you want, and it gives you the results. I myself saw the demo in few conferences in last 1 month. Okay. Now, foundations of health data interoperability. There are certain standards, certain frameworks which are required for data exchange. There are certain laws and rules which we need to follow. HL7 standards, full form Health Level 7 standards. These are international standards made by a non-profit organization for clinical and administrative data exchange. They provide the guidelines, what needs to be done and what is not allowed. FHIR framework, fast healthcare interoperability resources. These are next generation these are next generation standards framework for flexible data exchange. Then we have DICOM, data imaging and communications in medicine. These are made for handling and transmitting medical imaging data. Now, what is the meaning of medical imaging data? So another AI example or big data example I can give you from this one is there are certain pharmaceutical companies who are investing a lot in predicting early stage cancer by using the imaging data, x-rays. Okay, so they use X-rays, a lot of X-rays, a lot of data set, big data, and then they help in doing predictive analytics and identifying the early risk of cancer. Similarly, ECG, sonography, lot of imaging data has come these days. Okay, then I have LOINC, logical observation identifiers, names and codes. These are universal standards for identifying medical laboratory observations. Okay, because if you are working with big data, why I'm telling about these things? If you are working with big data, these are some of the samples, right, or the standard guidelines without which data cannot be transferred, or you will not be able to identify the relevant data if you do not know about these. Right. Then we have SNOMED city, systematized nomenclature of medicine clinical terms, comprehensive terminology for representing the clinical concepts. Now, future directions in healthcare informatics. Okay. Um, let's read about this. Federated learning. Federated learning integrates data while maintaining low autonomy. Okay, so data integration falls the middle and it's low autonomy, right? Then we have digital twins. Digital twins simulate scenarios with limited data integration. I'll give you a few examples. If there is a movie called Apollo 13. Okay, it's an old movie. That time it was not called as digital twins. And what is the meaning of digital twins? Having a virtual replica of something that exists in person. Okay, Singapore is the first country who has a digital twin of its own. It helps them in digging metro lines. So I have been to metro station, which is at basement level 4 and 5. It sounds scary. I feel very claustrophobic also, but it's there, right? Developing new buildings, new housing societies. Nowadays, many of the countries have their digital twin. Coming back to Apollo 13, what happened was the astronauts were in space and somehow their spacecraft got stuck. Okay, they had a virtual replica of the same spacecraft on the Earth, on which they did various modeling simulations, and same signals and outputs were sent to the astronauts who were in the space. And running those simulations, the astronauts were brought back to the Earth safely. How it helps us in science? There are a lot of PKPD studies which have been done on various anomalies of liver, and many of the laboratories in Singapore are doing this. National University of Singapore is making a digital twin on diabetes to test the new drugs. Okay, then we have agentic AI systems. They autonomously integrate diverse healthcare data. Uh, a recent example which comes to my mind of agentic AI app that I saw. So, in many of the countries, elderly live alone, right? Majority of the times. India, we still have a luxury of getting a helper, but in countries eastern and western part of the world, other parts, having a helper is very, very, I would say, it's a financial burden, and you do not get the demand supply ratio is pretty skewed. So what this app does is, and it has been trained on big data. I'll tell you how. So the app calls the parents or the elderly every morning. It asks about the well-being of our parents, our grandparents, for example. And if they say, "I'm not feeling well," okay, then the app, the which has been trained, right, asks if the elderly has taken the medicine, and then it reminds the patient, like the medicine in the red color bottle or the white color bottle. And then the app also reminds, did you check your blood pressure, did you eat your breakfast? And if the elderly says, "I'm not even able to get out of the bed," the agentic AI asks, "Shall we call the ambulance for you?" And if the patient says yes, all the medical facilities are availed. And if the patient does not pick up the phone, let's say two times, three times, the call goes to the caregiver whose number has been registered. And let's say my mother tongue is Hindi, okay, and my grandparents do not know English, so the agentic AI changes the tone and the language as the person is speaking. It has been trained. And how is it trained? It is trained on these big data sets and health informatics, right? Okay. Okay. Then integrating social data. Social data enhances autonomy, right, but lacks full integration because, of course, many of the information is missed. Okay. And I just gave an example of how I am working on one of the projects from where I am taking data from all the social media available. Now, future directions in healthcare informatics, emerging technologies, and innovation. Right. Um, Wearables and IoT, continuous monitoring for personalized treatment, early detection. Wearable sensors track vital signs. Nowadays, there are so many watches, smart watches, which help in detecting at least the stress levels. See, there is some allergy or some rash, it is visible, but what is happening inside the body, sometimes we are not able to gauge. These are silent health indicators which we tend to miss. Edge computing, federated learning, metaverse. This reduces the latency, enables collaboration, and offers immense experiences. They process data locally. Okay, they train models collaboratively, and metaverse provides interactive experiences. These are the emerging technologies that we can see nowadays. AI, blockchain, cloud, digital twins, as we discussed, they improve the accuracy, increases prediction, decreases the risk time, and enhances the accuracy. All the countries, as well as some of the respected organizations like WHO, they are working on global initiatives. UK, it is contributing significantly despite lower collaboration levels. USA, it leads in healthcare analytics research and collaboration. I receive a lots and lots of project queries for claims databases, retrospective studies, prospective studies. Then WHO, it facilitates collaboration, but has limited direct contribution because, of course, it also has its own, I would say, conflicts of interest. China, it shows potential with growing healthcare and analytics offers efforts. I see all the bots that are around me, majority of them made in China. Very important concept, multimodal AI in healthcare. Okay, this also forms a part of big data. So I just thought of covering this also in my slides. Now, what is multimodal AI in healthcare? It combines multiple types of data for a comprehensive understanding of patient's condition. The data comes from radiological images, path reports, and clinical texts, which helps in comprehensive patient understanding. So when you apply AI for patient healthcare, give it access to multimodal AI. It will give you predictive things. It can predict if there is anything about to happen. Let's say it cannot predict future as such, but of course it can manage your health state. So I was discussing with somebody like, have you used chat gpt, and I said yes. So they say it gives everything except for it predicts your future. It cannot gives you astronomy or astrological results, right? Okay. Now, multimodal AI personalized healthcare through data integration and advanced healthcare benefits. Let's quickly look at this. Natural language, insights from doctors' notes and natural language processing that we have discussed. Histopathological images, detailed images of tissue samples for cancer diagnosis. AI can do a quick early diagnosis. Genomics data, genetic information to tailor cancer treatment. These are being done these days. Clinical history, patient's medical background for treatment planning can be done through this one. IoT is Internet of Things, vital signs, real time health data from wearable devices. Electronic health records, lab values, test results from EHR. Now, advanced healthcare benefits, improved healthcare through advanced technologies and practices, enhanced diagnosis, more accurate and early diagnosis, personalized treatment depending on the healthcare of the patient, its treatment history, environmental factors, comorbidities. Healthcare can be tailored. Decision making with full context, informed decisions with comprehensive patient data. I wanted to discuss this digital twin, giving an example of Apollo 13, but we have already spoken about it. So it's a real spacecraft and it's a digital twin, and similar things can be replicated for our healthcare system as well. Metaverse, where we say a doctor is, it's a complicated surgery where it's an amalgamation of virtual reality and augmented reality. And if you see this one of the members is wearing this VR, and he's been instructed what to do next. These are some of the pictures from real-time conferences that I have collected. Okay, and this was the bot that was on agentic AI. Okay, and this I'll tell you the important thing about this bot, and I was actually impressed. And this lady bot, she mimicked a cancer patient. Okay, where patients were coming and no, sorry, the participants were coming and interacting with her, like, how do you feel, what is the impact of treatment, you do not have hair now, how does it feel publicly, what are the remedies that you're using, any kind of question you ask, and this bot answered. And I answered this bot, I asked this bot one question, like, now since you have cancer, you cannot go to work, are you the only breadwinner for the family, or is there anyone else who is earning and can help you? They did not program this bot with this answer, the owners told me. Okay, but from the data that has been fed into it about the family background history, it came up with the answer. It answered, no, my husband works and we also get some societal benefits, right? So this is the information that is fed from big data, right? These are the bots, and this one, and believe me, they're very heavy. Okay, I touched, okay, and yeah, because you're fascinated when you see these things. Okay, but they're very, very heavy, they weigh so much. Okay, and this brings me to the end because I want to have last 5 minutes for question and answer, and I want to acknowledge my team members, Sharmila and Sushant, who helped me in putting this presentation together. With this, I thank you all, and I've stopped sharing my screen, and I'm open to questions if there are any. I hope I was able to add something to the knowledge.
Madam, can you make me as a host?
Hello, I can read the questions. I can answer them actually first.
Okay, okay.
Okay, I want to
Yes.
know, Dr. Divya is asking, I want to know how reliable is data from ChatGPT or Perplexity or any AI tool? Can we trust them fully? You said you do thorough quality control of data from ChatGPT. How do we do it? Please tell. Very interesting question, and I ask these questions all the time. There are free versions and there are paid versions, correct? If you have to ask any confidential question, right, use the paid version. Do not do it on the free version. This I have heard from people from OpenAI, people from Google, people from everywhere who have their own large language model. How to do the QC? For example, and you know, these large language models, Dr. Divya, they hallucinate a lot. When we say hallucinate, hallucinations means, if I say, can you just give me the budget of this project, they say the project can be budgeted anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000. That's exactly two times the value. Okay, but you have to have your human intervention and you have to check this thoroughly before you send it out. That is how I do it. Free databases for extracting patient data. See, I use for commercial purposes, and for me, majority of them come at fees. Okay, and the especially the claims databases, the fees is anywhere between $500,000 to above 250K, 500K. So that's how. PPT is not visible because I've stopped sharing my screen. I have ended my session, Kamalji. How can health informatics help in reducing medical errors? Very good question. Because you take data from multiple sources, right? That's how it is done. So it is an amalgamation of data from social media, data from Internet of Things, data from your lab, data from your pathology reports, radiology. That's how it helps in reducing the error, because then you run simulation of these data which is collected from various sources. If it would have been from one single source, there are chances of error. How do you do the QC? But if it is come from multiple sources, then it reduces the medical error. Okay. Any other question, please ask or you can type in.
I have a question.
Ji sir, please.
Yeah, as you are already said, that is healthcare models and the AI can reduce so much of investment and as a time also. And this we can able to the data as when as a regulatory concern, we can show this data also, right? As a generally as a documentation.
Hmm.
Yeah, in that sense, how they are going to consider all these things if we show as a AI concerned data as a regulatory, they will consider this data for giving the approval. And second thing is what any right such data of this as a live examples are there, they are submitted and they have got an approval for that.
Okay, so sir, so when we use big data in our projects, right? So the projects are of various types. Let's say for commercial data, okay, it is applicable and it is accepted. One use case I will give you. One of the big pharma company, it came to me. One of the big pharma company came to me and they said, like, every year they have multiple publications, right, about 300, 400, and somehow they are not able to read all these publications because of time constraint, and they want to know, and they want to read all these publications in 15 minutes, plus they want a live update and have it compared with their competitors. Okay, you have to use big data there, you have to use AI there. So I made a blueprint of the use case where I use agentic AI. The agent will have all the data, all the public, see, publications are also data, right? Where the agentic AI will have all the publications, it will draw inferences, and again, it will compare it on a live basis with the competitors, unka competitors, how they are performing in the market. That ways it will help. But if you ask, let's say for regulatory, like I do HT approvals, health technology assessments for reimbursement of the drugs, those bodies still do not accept the AI driven thing. There are very limited guidelines on them. There you have to go through the traditional methods of statistics. You use big data, but for running the analysis, they want still the age old method, not the AI. So it depends. If I am selling my services to someone in commercial, they take AI. But if it is for regulatory approvals, they will prefer big data, but the analysis needs to be done traditionally. For example, sir, I make a lot of cost effectiveness models, budget impact models. Okay, right. So the health technology bodies still want me the models to be done in Excel, pure play Excel. Okay. However, if it is for commercial purpose, they ask me to do in R, Python, and run AI in it. So depending on which body I'm dealing with, I make the solution that way.
Okay.
Okay, right.
Right.
So Kamaljit is asking, can we believe in AI regarding hackers? See, you have to keep your guards on. You have to, as we are saying, ethics and privacy, you have to have that. And many of us receive spam calls. Abhi mere phone pe one was coming from US. It was a spam call regarding your credit cards and things. How do they get all these things? Because knowingly or unknowingly, we try to give the AI the personal data that we have. Okay, now the AI listens to you also. Let's say if I'm talking to my husband about, chalo, next year let's go to Japan for holiday, this Facebook will listen, and or any social media, and it starts giving me all the options of hotels which are available in Japan. So be careful of what data you are feeding into it. Okay. How do we ensure transparency and accountability in high autonomy systems like agentic AI? Transparency and accountability by giving them right prompts. Okay, that is very, very important. Yesterday only I saw in one of the conference, because the prompts were not correct. So it was asked, can you help with the financial data of what, where? So because prompt engineering is also a science, if you give the correct prompts, what you need, it will definitely come. Okay, many times we do not know. Nowadays courses have come on prompt engineering. Do not do that. There are YouTube videos available. Watch 4 or 5 of them, you will become a pro. That is how I have learned. Sir, unnecessary, why to waste money, right? When these things are available. Okay. Any other question for me?
Yes. Is there still any queries?
I'm very active on
Okay.
LinkedIn. If there are any questions, please feel free to pass on. Please feel free to add me in your profiles. And yeah, and I keep on updating about the AI conferences that I do. After this, also have to go to one. So that, and I like sharing with everyone whatever I learn in those conferences. Okay.
Okay, madam. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for having me. Thank
Elaborate
you.
information regarding the what is the analytical tooling, and as a writer, how it is going to play an important role. Okay, as a
There is one last question.
Yes, please.
yeah, sir, madam, one more as a
Ha, ha,
query.
ha.
How do you normalize multimodal data?
How do we normalize multimodal data? Right.
Yeah.
See, there are outliers, there are missing data. When we run different modeling or simulation techniques on them, then we identify. So it is done through statistics, either simple or complex. That is how it is done.
So,
How do we make sure information given by AI is authentic? You have to do QC, as I said. There is always a human in the loop. Okay.
yeah. Right,
So,
madam. Thank you so much.
thank you, sir. I'll take your leave. Thank
yeah,
you.
we want to be as a more as a sessions in the future also, as a part of our whatever the program we are going to conduct from our end.
Sure, sir.
Okay.
Health economics, anything you want, I have a team. We can help you. Anything on health economics, just name it. We'll be there. Okay?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you so
sir.
much.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a
Bye-bye.
great day.
Bye,
Yeah,
bye,
bye.
bye.